You know, I know when many of us look at the world and we see the many problems it has, as an individual we say, what can I possibly do? Well, tonight's show is going to show you exactly what one person can do. Tonight we're going to talk about a gentleman who never became famous, never became wealthy, but his dream and his vision had a powerful impact on millions of people's lives. Tonight we have an amazing story to share with you that will inspire you on the power of one. Imagine for a moment that you're a clerk working in a court system, and every day you're seeing young men coming across the floor and getting in front of the judge, and they're getting into trouble very early in life. Imagine it's dozens and dozens, and then eventually hundreds and hundreds, and some of these people are committing crimes and really getting their lives off to a terrible start. What would you do about that? Would you talk to your neighbor about it? Would you complain about it? Would you feel bad about it? What would you do? Well, most people would not really do anything. But there was a young man in New York City in the year 1904 that was very different than most people. A young man named Ernest Coulter, who believed that these young men, if they were to get one-on-one mentoring, would end up somewhere other than in front of the judge in the court system. So he got some other people in the community, he got some volunteers, and they started Big Brothers of America. And their objective was to give one-on-one mentoring to these young men so they could have an impact on them in a very positive way. And by 1916, Big Brothers had grown all across the United States into approximately 100 cities. At about the same time, there was a young ladies organization that eventually grew into Big Sisters International, and they once again were mentoring women in New York City, hundreds and hundreds, and then it grew all over the United States and all over the world as well. In 1977, those two wonderful organizations got together and were able to form Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America, which also is spread throughout the entire world. And I have to tell you folks, it is an amazing organization providing that one-on-one mentoring and impacting lives in a way you just can't believe is possible. Now, about 7 or 8 years ago, I became a big brother. I thought it would really be important, and I have to share this with you. I didn't think I had the time to be a big brother. I was working really, really hard at my career. I had 2 of my own children, 2 little girls. I felt like I wasn't even seeing them as much as I wanted to. But my wife really encouraged me to step up and become a big brother because there was a need for it. And I did it, and I met a little boy named William. And we started just hanging out and doing some things together. And I have to share with you that in my mind, there wasn't that much good being done. I mean, yes, I was befriending him, and yes, we had some good connection, but nothing that I saw is overwhelming. And about 6 months after we became William's big brother, something really remarkable happened. His mother, who had been widowed very suddenly when her husband had a heart attack, and she was raising 5 children on her own, and she had never had to work before. You can imagine a difficult position she was in, and she wrote a letter to Big Brother, Big Sister about the impact the organization was having on all of her children, but she mentioned William in that letter. And I have to share something with you folks. I had no idea what that young boy was going through. I was just there to be his buddy. But when I saw the transformation, having a caring adult in his life, what it did to him was unbelievable. He had an imaginary friend that was no longer there. He was having, temper tantrums. He was obviously very angry and very upset. There were a lot of things. His grades were suffering. But once again, by just spending time with him, not by me doing any kind of, personal development work or psychological work, by just being there and caring and being his buddy and going bowling with him and bringing him shopping with me and just doing ordinary things for an hour or so a week, it had a tremendous impact on him. When we realized the impact it had on one child, we decided that we had to get more involved. So we became members on the board of directors for Big Brother, Big Sister. And now I've got to share with you, we are passionate about this. And we would love to share the message with you and ask you to look into Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America so you can have an impact on a child in your area. And once again, folks, this is just a show to talk to you about the power of what one individual can do. I understand that. But in the same regard, you can definitely do something. This is all about you doing something. It's not just about you hearing a story about someone who did something. It's about inspiring people, as we said on our original show. It's about inspiring you to take action. And once again, it doesn't matter. You can be a big brother, you can be a big sister, you can be a big family. You can just spend a half an hour every other week by going to the school where the child is. You can spend time with them every week for 3 or 4 hours like we do. Believe me, we have grown to love William so much that we make the time to fit him into our lives, and he's become very close friends with our children and so on and so forth. I just want to give you one other perspective to really get you to understand the power of this organization. It was maybe a few months into us being on the board that we were invited to an organization where some very powerful business people were who were part of the organization, and the Attorney General for the state of Texas was there. And not being very aware, I guess, I wasn't sure why the Attorney General would be at something like this. And Charles Pearson, who runs the North Texas division, does an amazing job at it, explained to me that when one of these children has a parent in jail, that more than 50% of these children end up in jail themselves. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's generation after generation after generation. That day, the person who was addressing the group said that in Philadelphia, there was a father, a grandfather, and a son. They were all in the same prison system, all at the same time. Unbelievable, guys. It really does make a difference. In the young years and the formative years, not having an impact in someone's life really makes a tremendous difference. Or conversely, having someone there can make all the difference in the world. So I just want you to understand, my initial thought was, oh my gosh, let me have an impact. Maybe this son, this little boy doesn't have a dad. He passed away, or the mom and dad got divorced. I didn't realize the even bigger implications to society as a whole, that many of these kids are really at risk, and they have a child in jail, or they have a parent in jail. And it's a big, big, big deal for us to step up and volunteer our time. And it's not just impacting that child, it's impacting the entire country. It's actually impacting the entire world. So I just wanted to share this message with you and let you know what the organization is really all about, and let you know that you can figure out a way to make the time, and it will have as much of an impact on you as it is on the child. But most importantly, I want to share with you, going along with the theme of this show, how amazing it is that one person in 1904, over 100 years ago, who saw a need, took some action and did something about it. And I wasn't there in the early years of the organization, but I'm sure it's a far cry from what it was like now. I'm sure there was all kinds of learning. I'm sure there was all sorts of mistakes. But the bottom line is taking action and having pure intent in your heart, and doing the right thing can have an unbelievable impact. Ernest Coulter's not with us anymore. He's not here to watch this video. He's not here to see the glorification of what his vision was back then. But I want you to know that we all know that he has an impact on tens of millions of people's lives. And imagine if you could do something like that yourself. I don't know if you're going to start the next Big Brothers, Big Sisters, but the bottom line is, by doing something today, by taking action today, not tomorrow or the next day, by taking action right now on something, you can at least have an impact on your own life. And in most cases, you'll be touching other people's lives as well. Remember, every organization, every movement with thousands, tens of thousands, or millions of people, all begins with the power of one.